Hey everyone, just wanted to give you a quick heads up. The second Global Product Owner Summit is coming soon. You can get all the details at bit.ly/Product Owner 2024. That's bit.ly/Product Owner 2024. And it's all lowercase, all one word. Oh, and stick with us until the end of the episode to know the dates and the tracks that we have for you in this year's summit. But for now, let's dive into today's episode. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our Success Thursday episode here on the podcast. This week we have with us Inga Bergmann. Hey, Inga, welcome back.
Hey, Vasco.
So, Inga, on Thursdays, we'll talk about success for us as Scrum Masters. But before we dive into that, do share with us what's your favorite retrospective format and why?
Okay, the smart ass answer is my favorite retro is the one that fits best the context of my team, but it's not helpful for our audience, is it? So what I've done in the past, I think 2 or 3 times, is a format called SWOT. It's short for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. I haven't used it that often because it's a rather specific format, but I have found that it can be very helpful for teams that got stuck at some point, underwent a lot of change maybe, or even lost their identity. And what you do when you're doing this format is that you're collecting the input on those four categories I just said about SWOT. And what I did that with the teams, but then the crucial part is to reflect afterwards to what does it tell them about themselves, about their identity, or about the change they are undergoing. And I found this really to be impactful when they have those things and they realize, oh, we still have this identity together. There are things we can connect to each other. And there's also something in the future for us that we can work towards too. And it's mostly about, last time I used it was about the inner perspective of the team, but you can also use it to see what's outside of the team going on as well.
From facilitating this format with the teams, what are some examples of surprising things that came out of using this SWOT format with the teams?
I think once when I was doing it with a team, they were not sure if they actually were a team or not, because they were in the transition of they were a team, then they decided to be rather some sort of a guild in our organization. But then again, some people were wanting them to be a team. So I used this to helping them who they actually were and if they would like to consider themselves being a team or not. And I think that what was rather surprising for them was that they are not a team, they don't want to be a team, but they wanted to be something else. And this was coming out of this format as at least a surprise for them, but also very, very cool to see for me that they were able to make that conclusion.
And because they got to that conclusion, then they could take action, right? They could start making changes so that they could get to work in the way that they wanted to work. Now, of course, we run these retrospectives because we want to help teams and ourselves be successful. And we talk about teams already, but let's talk about us, Scrum Masters. When you think about success for Scrum Masters, Inga, how do you define it? How do you describe it?
I do not have a perfect answer for that, actually. I think this hen and egg problem, we always talk about a Scrum Master. What does it mean? When are we successful? For me personally, success is when I have the feeling that I'm doing impactful work. But then again, what does impact for me, right? So this could be something very subjective to me, but also something rather objective. I decide to be with my leader. A rather plain example I have is that someone told me in a one-on-one that they trust me, and hence they are really willing to able to share their thoughts with me openly. And this was on a personal level a very big success because I am convinced that my work can only be done if there is a trustful base. So this was somehow my actions had led to being a trusted person. So we could really work things out and see how I could help that person on an individual basis first to figure out what their issues were, and then they could bring that to the team. And but if you would now ask, how can you measure that? Probably you cannot. But this was personally a very, very good, successful moment in my career.
Absolutely. And the trust, of course, is a critical aspect, and I would call it a currency of our work, right? Like if there's no trust, we can't actually do the work that we need to do. But when you look at the interactions that you have on a day-to-day basis, how do you assess if you are building trust? Of course, we can expect someone to tell us if they trust us. Obviously, that doesn't always happen though, and we need to be able to assess. So how do you go about assessing that as a Scrum Master?
The one thing is that, let's say people reach out to me saying, I have a problem, can we talk about that? Or can we do sanity check? Like I have this thing going in my mind, I'm not sure what to make out of that, but they trust me to come to me to talk to me about it. So this is one part, or one example. What I sometimes do when I'm in meetings with team members and I see someone acting different that I'm used to, I might reach out to them afterwards in a direct message asking, hey, how are you? Is everything okay? And if they're not and they open up to me, it's also for me a sign that they trust me. But of course, this is not necessary that they do that to trust me, because sometimes we have shit going on that we just don't want to talk about. But if they do, this is also a sign for me that there is trust in place.
One thing that I find helps me a lot is how people react within specific shared events, whether it is the daily stand-up or retrospective or planning. And one thing that I've noticed is that if people look at me all the time, it's because they are trying to assess. And at that point, I think we are not yet at a stage where they trust me. They're still trying to figure out, are they doing the right thing? And of course, my job is not to tell them what the right thing is, but rather to help them succeed, whatever it is that they are trying to achieve. So that's one thing that I pay attention to. Are people looking at me or at each other? Mm-hmm. Are there like some kind of behaviors that you look at during like either shared events or when there are other people around that you look at to assess if you're being able to build trust with the team members?
I have been working on a remote setup over the past years. The reading the room is quite different to when being in the actual office. So what comes to my mind is I do pay attention if people in meetings that I'm taking part of are actually sitting there paying attention, or if they're doing work in parallel. It's not necessarily always connected to trust, but it is about paying attention, showing respect to the other person, and having respect and trust are very, very close together in my thoughts. So if I see let's say there's a rather small circle of persons in the meeting, and one person is doing writing messages in parallel, and I see that, but they just don't say, oh, sorry, I have to do this shortly or something, which is rather disrespectful for me. I would say I feel like I'm not that acknowledged, and then also I don't feel trusted that much.
Yeah, and one can imagine that also the other team members don't feel trusted that much.
That's true, yeah.
And as you said, the remote setting does make these kind of observations more difficult, but it's a great question to ask ourselves, okay, so if building trust is really a key part of success for me as a Scrum Master, how do I know it's happening? What kind of behaviors do I see when I'm working with the team, if they trust me? Absolutely. Great reflection. Thank you for sharing that, Inga.
Thank you. Thank you for asking.
Hi there, Agile friends. Thank you for sticking around and listening to the details of the Product Owner Summit, this year's global summit dedicated to a critical Scrum role, the Product Owner role, of course. We'll have some amazing keynotes and 4 tracks filled with first-hand stories and experiences for product owners to learn more about that critical Scrum role. The summit will take place between April 23rd and 25th, so book your calendars. There will be loads of sessions for you to attend. One of the keynotes will be Dave West, the product owner and CEO at Scrum.org, one of the largest Scrum organizations in the world. If you want to know more, check out the details at bit.ly/product owner 2024. That's all one word, all lowercase, bit.ly/product owner 2024. We will also have 4 tracks. The 4 tracks will cover cross-functional product ownership. That's track 1. As Pixar's Ratatouille said, not every idea can be a great idea, but a great idea can come from anywhere. And this quote emphasizes the importance of a product owner being open to all ideas, regardless of the source, and also challenges us to focus on getting good ideas from everywhere and involving the whole team in the product owner role and responsibilities. The second track is Designing Products for Growth, where we explore how to craft products ready for scalable growth, merging practical strategies with innovation. The idea here is to learn to design products for growth, whether it is sales or customer acquisition. The third track is Know Your Users, user-centric approaches for Agile development. In this track, we learn to master user-centric techniques in Agile development, to deeply understand customer needs and transform insights into meaningful UX designs that focus on engagement and satisfaction. This is a track ideal for innovation-focused Agile teams. And the fourth track, one of the most exciting tracks in my opinion, is product development with AI, ideas for product owners. Not only do we discuss about using AI in the products, but also AI for product owners to learn to make a bigger impact with the help of the AI tools that we already have. The Product Owner Summit will also present to you great opportunities to network with your peers. So get your ticket and join our Slack. You can get the ticket and join the Slack at bit.ly/product owner 2024. As always, we have free tickets and also the paid tickets that help to support this podcast. So check them out at bit.ly/product owner 2024. That's all lowercase, all one word, product owner 2024. I'll see you in the summit floor.